All right, tell me, can we just acknowledge the fact that racism is no longer a big problem in America? I mean, really, if this is the story, if this is really the story, the supply and demand for racism is just off, right? There is very little supply and very high demand for it at this point, because at this point, the University of Wisconsin has now basically declared a rock or a boulder a racist symbol. Yes, it is now paid $50,000 to have it removed. $50,000 to have a racist rock removed. And why is it racist? Why is the rock racist? Because some random dude in the 1920s called it the N-word. It was called the N-word in the 1920s. No other time. They can't find any other time besides this. Only at one point in the 1920s is it called N-word head rock, because that apparently was a term they used for any large dark boulder, right? 1920s this happened. And they're now having it removed and pay again $50,000 to have it removed. Man, this is why I didn't spend any money on college. I mean, for God's sake, all the money that people are spending towards this college, $50,000 of it has now gone to move a boulder. Either way, let's hop into the story right here from the New York Post. University of Wisconsin moves boulder seen as a symbol of racism. What nonsense. The University of Wisconsin has removed a 70-ton boulder from its Madison campus at the request of a minority students who viewed the rock, which was referred to by a slur for blacks, as a symbol of racism. Now again, the rock was called a racial slur, and so they're saying it's now a racist rock, which I find kind of funny. You think they might have like sympathy for the rock for being called such an awful word, but no. Chamberlain Rock, atop of Observatory Hill, named after Thomas Crowder Chamberlain, a 19th century geologist and former university president, was at least once referred to as N-word head rock in a 1925 article in the Wisconsin State Journal. Again, 1920s is how far we're going back from. This is almost 100-year-old almost 100-year-old article, and it's just now apparently a problem. Utter nonsense. The fact that this is what apparently minority students on that campus have to worry about shows they are not oppressed in any way, shape, or form on that campus. If there was real oppression on that campus, do you really think they would really be caring about a stupid rock? Actually, it's not even stupid. It's actually a really cool rock. We'll get to it, because the rock is actually, it's more than just a boulder. Like it's actually, we'll get to it. It's pretty awesome. It actually has a really cool history. The minority students have complained that the rock represents a history of discrimination. The derogatory term was commonly used during the 1920s to describe any large and dark rock. So basically, if you find any large and dark rock, you can assume at some point someone called it a racial slur and should be removed, I guess. University historians have not found any other time the term was used, so only in the 1925 article. Got it. But said the KKK was active on campus at the time. Dude, it was the 1920s. It was the 1920s. Those crazy Democrats were active everywhere around that time, right? They were literally everywhere at that time. That doesn't mean anything about this rock. Like, did they have ceremonies next to it? Like, what? Come on, you got to give me something here. University Chancellor Rebecca Blank approved removing Chamberlain Rock on January, but the Wisconsin Historical Society needed to sign off on it because of its location within 15 feet of a Native American burial site. So for one, anyone paying any money to this college should demand the resignation of this chancellor, because they wasted $50,000 moving a effing rock. What could that $50,000 have gone to? You would have done more good if you just gave that money out to some random student as part of a grant, right? Or just go to an inner city and give it to a random student and say, hey, come to our college for, what was it for their college, maybe 2 semesters with how much college costs these days. The massive rock, a rare example of Precambrian era glacier erratic? I'm probably saying that totally wrong. That experts say is likely over 2 billion years old. A 2 billion year old stone. See, that's pretty sweet. Will be placed on university-owned land southeast of Madison, can't speak all of a sudden. University-owned land southeast of Madison near Lake Kenasa? I have no idea. That's no idea. Where it will continue to be used for educational purposes. So, okay, this down here. Chamberlain Rock had a long history of racism for minority students. You gotta be kidding me. The Rock has a long history of racism for minorities. Because of one article in the 1920s, it has a long history of racism for students. Removing the Rock as a monument in the prominent location prevents further harm to our community while preserving the Rock's educational research value for our current and future students, Gary Brown, Director of Campus Planning, Landscaping, and Architecture, told Wisconsin State Journal. Prevents further harm. That rock was really harming. I mean, look at it. I mean, you can tell that was a very dangerous rock, couldn't you? Yeah. It was previously estimated to have weighed up to 70 tons, but an updated measurement shows it weighs only 42 tons. Oh, what a shame. The school plans to erect a plaque in Chamberlain Hall to honor the former university president, according to school spokeswoman Meredith McGlone. Last summer, the Black Student Union led the call to remove the rock on Friday morning. Crews lifted it with a crane and placed it on a flatbed truck, estimated cost of $50,000, which was covered by private donations. Okay, you know what? I'll give it that. Private donations, all right. That's at least a little better than them using their own budget. I will grant them that. I totally grant them that. God, the thing that's considered some type of racist symbol now is that rock. Julian Bennett, a senior and campus representative of Madison City Council, said removing the boulder signals a small step towards a more inclusive campus. This moment is about the students past and present that relentlessly advocated for the removal of this racist monument. What evidence is it a racist monument? Because at one point it was called a slur. It's a racist monument? Again, what was happening? Were people carrying tiki torches around it every night? Like, come on. She said, now is the moment for all of us BIPOC students to breathe a sigh of relief, to be proud of our endurance and begin healing. Yes, your endurance that you couldn't withstand a effing rock. You really can endure quite a bit, can't you? I mean, really, in all seriousness, if this hurt them so much, if a rock hurt them this much, just being there, that has no history of racism. There is none, all right? Just because someone called it racial slur in 1925, that's not a history of racist activity at the Rock. It makes no sense. If that gets to you, you have no endurance. You have no perseverance. You have no cojones, I guess. You got nothing. You're a pansy. I mean, in all honesty, you're just a pansy. There's no reason you cannot, or you can sit there and give me to justify that this is actually harming anyone on campus. My God. Local resident Kenneth Owens said he was glad to see it gone. What a bitch. It's not the Rock's fault that it got a terrible and unfortunate nickname, he said. But the fact is, being moved shows that the world is getting a little better today. Dear God. So here's the deal. Like I said before, if this is your biggest problem that you could find on this campus does not have a problem with racism. This campus clearly has no problem with racism. If the only thing you could really point to, and the thing you put your energy to, is a rock that at some point in the 1920s someone referred to as a racial slur. The fact that that is even remotely in your mind as a problematic thing shows that you have nothing bad going on in your life, all right? I'm sorry. You are privileged as hell if this is the thing that gets to you. If something like this actually gets to you, you're one of the most privileged people on earth. All right, you're at a nice college, you're in a good country. Clearly, racism isn't a big deal. Or should you be complaining about your racist teachers or your racist students? No, you're complaining that Iraq was called a racial slur in the 1920s. That is how desperate you are to find racism. Because right now, racism is a currency. Racism is a currency to get attention. And as you can tell, they got attention, right? By removing this rock, they got tons of attention from multiple articles, as well as, well, now me, as well as tons of our YouTubers out there, right? Racism is a currency, and they're trying desperately. They're just like going through the couch trying to find extra coins here and there. If this is what you're paying attention to at this point, you don't have a problem with racism. If this is at all in your mind, you have no issues with racism in your personal life. That's just a fact. Because this should not even register on a sane person's mind at all. No sense in it. Absolutely no sense in it. Either way, what do you think? Does the fact that it was paid for by private donations kind of alleviate some of the issue? I'll be honest, it does kind of make me feel at least a little better knowing that college didn't pay for it. But the fact that they even did this in the first place and bowed down to their demands still just irks me wrong. Either way, leave a comment. What do you think below? And hey, you know what? If you enjoyed this video, man, leave a like. Leave a like down there and subscribe to the channel. We're trying to put up, basically about a video, or, one video a day during, Mondays through Fridays right now. So subscribe to the channel. Leave a like on this video, comment below, and we'll see you again real soon.